It was great to get down here again and see Jack Bender and Mike Vogel and Rochelle, Dean Norris, Colin Ford. Everybody's here, and everybody's excited to start the new season. It's been great to see the story expand and to see new writers come in and give the show a real fresh angle, a fresh look, if you will. So those things are great. But the core group that made the show such a success in the first season is still here, which is a terrific thing. But you know, it's also fun to see the make-believe, to see the new sets go up and to visit the new locations. It's always impossible to tell why an audience connects with a given show, or else all shows would be a success. So what you do is you try to find engaging characters and an engaging situation that's going to bring viewers in the first place and keep them there for the arc of the show, which is 13 episodes. And of course, we're coming back this year with another 13 episodes. And I think the real key, particularly to success in the summer, is to try and present something that's intriguing, that's mysterious, and most of all, that it gives an audience a chance to escape into a world where survival is a big issue. I think that audiences just kind of dig that kind of thing, and it's clear that they got some of that from Under the Dome, because the audience reaction was terrific. For me, it's been a great thing, feeling of accomplishment to have gotten this show on the rails in such a big way and to have such audience response to it. I wanted to get a chance to put my good housekeeping seal of approval, if you will, on the show. And I also thought, if they will allow me to do the first episode, I can kind of guide the course of the season. So I had a chance to sit down with Neil Baer and Brian Vaughn and talk a little bit about the first episode, how it was going to go, and also how the rest of the season was going to go. So that was very important to me. And the other thing was, frankly, we'd like to have the same kind of enthusiastic audience for season 2 that we had for season 1, and we've got some great surprises in store for the audience in season 2. So I was thinking one way maybe to bring my fans into the tent would be to write the first episode. And that's all on one level. You know, on a personal level, man, I dug it. I wanted a chance to go back and visit with those characters. So when everybody gave me a green light, I was just absolutely delighted, and I sat down right away. I think that in the first season, we see people trying to cope with this brand new situation that they find themselves in, where they're cut off from the entire world. And in season 2, they're trying to survive, they're trying to establish a leadership, and they're still trying to figure out what the Dome is and what effect the Dome has on their lives. But the secrets have just begun to show up. There are a lot more, and they have to do with Big Jim Rennie's family, and exactly who the monarch is, and what the Dome is, and how much what the Dome is trying to do, I think, is a big theme in season 2. When we left, Julia had been crowned the monarch by her friends and had taken the egg that was apparently generating the Dome out and sunk it in the lake. And Barbie was going to be hung by the neck on trumped up murder charges. And just as this is going on, the dome brightens up and turns a bright white, and everything just sort of stops at that point. And we assume everybody holds their breath for 9 months until season 2 starts. This year, there's a mystery element involved. There's a killing in episode 1, and the guy who did it, or the woman who did it, is still out there. And so we've got something going on that's a little bit on the creepy side, and I think that's the sort of thing that viewers come to expect from something that I'm associated with. I hope so, anyway. We've got some new characters this season. We've got some characters that the audience really sort of fell in love with that unfortunately are going to meet untimely ends. But, you know, in the midst of life, we're in death, so there's some of that too. So I think we've got an exciting mix of things going on, and the audience is in for some real jolts, I can tell you that, because we're going to places that TV series don't often go. This is not going to be, you know, all sunshine and light. It's hard to know if the dome is being run by outside forces or if it has an intelligence of its own, but what we do see is that it reacts to events within the dome. And in the first episode, it starts to have contractions, these pulses that have a magnetic flow to them, so that objects start to fly, metal starts to stick to the dome. There's all kinds of chaos that goes on because of this, and one of the first challenges that Barbie and his friends have is to try to stop this before the dome's contractions destroy the town. There is still a great deal in season 2 about trying to cope with limited resources. By the episode 2, we're seeing real challenges in trying to preserve the food supply, for instance. But in a situation that's essentially a survival situation, do or die, one of the questions that always comes up that has resonance in the real world and in our real lives is, who is best to lead in this kind of a situation? Is it somebody like Big Jim, who's kind of almost a dictatorial force, but he's very sure of himself? He thinks of himself as the chosen one. Or is it somebody more like Julia, who's got more of a democratic tendency to be inclusive and have other people take part in the decision? So we'll see how those questions work themselves out. One of the great things about working in a Stephen King TV series or a Stephen King movie or being a character in a Stephen King book is nobody really dies. There's always a chance that they're going to come back. So I think that audiences are going to see some people who died in the season 1 that maybe are going to show up again. How real they are is something that isn't decided yet by the characters in the story. I knew from the beginning, talking with Neil Baer and Brian Vaughan, that they wanted to use my book, Under the Dome, as a platform to go in their own direction and follow the story in unique ways, and I was totally down with that. I like that idea. I think that a book is like a room that has many doorways. There are many ways to go forward. I've always felt that. I might have a different idea about it if I were a writer who approaches things with an outline, who just wants everything to stay on the rails. But I'm totally open to innovation and totally open to change. We've got some new writers, and we've got some terrific plot twists ahead in season 2, and some very scary, mind-blowing stuff. So I think that season 2 is going to be terrific. In the first season, one of the things that we said was no one gets in and no one gets out. And in this season, that might change.